Thank you for listening to Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. My name's Ben with my best friend Sam. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, but I'm not Sam. I'm... Oh, shoot. What's his name? Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, because... School's out for summer!
Yeah.
Hey! Scarves!
Yeah, Sam, that was definitely an Aerosmith song.
I'm pretty sure it was.
It was not an Aerosmith song. I'm pretty sure that's an Alice Cooper song.
Hold on. I'm gonna Google it. Hey, Ben?
Yeah?
Don't tell my wife I was wrong about something.
It'll break your perfect record.
It will. Just don't tell her. Just, Ben, let me have this one thing.
Your
pride? That was a pretty... My pride, thank you. That was a pretty good Steven Tyler impression. Did you hear the scarves?
I heard the scarves. It was like our ASMR episode where with the scarves just draping all over your microphone. You did double check, right? So I can be right in saying it's Alice Cooper.
Oh, it's Alice Cooper. Yeah, undoubtedly. I don't even have to look. I know it's Alice Cooper.
Permanent resident of Arizona from now on. He loves to golf. I mean, who can blame him?
And be in the commercials for Safe Auto? No, some insurance company. Or was it a bank? No, that was Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen's a great one too. I wonder what he's doing. Is he dead?
He's dead.
Oh,
he's dead.
I bet he's busy. I don't know.
He's busy reenacting the Naked Gun for everyone in heaven.
I mean, I feel an obligation to all these kids freshly out of school. We got to give them some out of school tips, some tips for summer. Sam, what do you think?
Oh yeah, no, I think that's a great idea because what I needed growing up was a podcast of two strangers to tell me exactly what I wanted to do because I didn't do much. Mm-hmm. I went to band camp. But it wasn't a camp. It was just band practice every morning. I played the bass clarinet. Ugh. What a summer.
It was a camp in the sense that you never lived inside a house. You lived in a tent in the backyard.
Yeah, that's far more accurate.
Well,
Ben, what's your first suggestion? Your first tip?
My first tip is if you want to get that real good golden tan, you gotta go out and you gotta sunbathe covered in honey. And I'll tell you why, Sam. Have you seen these KFC commercials with the Louisiana Gold chicken and it's honey dipped? that chicken is tan. If you want to be like that, you gotta put all that honey all over you and let the sun just use it as a stained glass window to beautify your skin.
Now, if I can add a suggestion, like kind of like little parentheses next to it,
right?
Do this far away from any ants, because you don't worry about bears. Bears are busy in the summertime. They're working on their winter bodies, so they're just don't even worry about them. But just if you have ants, you're gonna wake up a skeleton, and that's no way to spend your summer. Ugh, bleached bones? No, thank you. So just be careful.
I mean, that's what summer's like here in Arizona. You go out into the wilderness and you just see some bleached bones of all these sunbathers that just got eaten up by ants. I mean, and you don't even feel it at first because you're just thinking that that's just the sun turning your skin a different color because it should hurt.
You think, wow, I'm becoming more beautiful. All of every inch of my skin is being crystallized by tiny, what feels like teeth, but I'm not going to look because I want to surprise myself. I'm a skeleton. Dang it.
Another choice for that is you can get a series of microwaves and just carve out the different sizes, leaving the sides of the microwaves, leaving the doors intact, and then just use that as a tanning booth. A lot of people don't know that a tan comes from the inside out, just like when you cook food in the microwave. So you want to make sure your insides are tan as well.
Oh man, get those really old-fashioned, like the first microwaves, because on the new
they
ones,
have to have
so
dials. If they don't have
precautions.
dials, if you got buttons and a digital display on there, you got the wrong microwave.
Ugh.
It needs to have a dial, and the timer needs to have an actual bell inside that's hit by a hammer.
A tiny hammer. Yeah, if you don't have that, just don't even bother. You need those. You need those dials. And you'll always, like with the honey, do it away from ants. Just, you're gonna be tanning from the inside out. You're gonna get crispy. Mm-hmm. You know what likes crispy things? Ants. Just be careful.
That brings me to my third tanning choice, is just cover yourself in ants. Lots of ants are darker than your normal skin. Oh. And if you cover yourself in them, no one will ever know the difference. Unless they touch you or look at you for more than, a millisecond. If you're covered in ants, then you're also protected from the sun's rays. The ants are going to be the ones that are burned. And who's the sucker now,
And then you cover them with honey and you eat them. Because they're delicious.
You just become a homunculus of ants and honey, just walking around the beach, just storming everyone's possessions.
And their beach castles.
Mm-hmm.
And this is good. Okay, so there's some tanning tips. What about how about some fun? Something I used to do for fun during the summer?
Oh.
Is you should go to band practice. Buy yourself a flugelhorn.
Mm-hmm.
Get your moist lips moistened, and just learn to play the Looney Tunes theme song.
Mm-hmm.
But then your teachers decides not to do it because you guys just can't do it well enough. Ben, let's not talk about band practice anymore. I'm getting anxious. This is bad.
Yeah, well, the only thing that I learned how to play was the elbow. Moving on, other fun things you can do in the summer. Let me think back to things that I did in the summer.
Okay.
Sega Genesis. You kids, you don't realize that Sega Genesis is just as good today as it was when I was a kid. It doesn't matter that it's been, superseded by much better games. The games are still as good as they were, although back in the day we didn't know that they could get better, We didn't know Echo to the Dolphin was the best thing ever. We just assumed it was.
Hold on. Are you saying that there's something after the Sega Genesis?
Sam, I'm saying that if it was only the Sega Genesis and nothing else in the entire world,
which it is, right?
Of course, then we wouldn't have the Warcraft movie, and where would we be then?
Man, the Warcraft movie really has pushed this country in a good. Well,
mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna. The Warcraft movie was great.
I agree. It's really made our country much more tolerant and open, and I love just how once the Warcraft movie was made $1 billion worldwide, just a new island rose out of the sea just for us to live on. I mean, it's been a pure net good in our lives.
Oh, it has, and on this island we can get tan with the honeys and the ants, and we have a lot of fun with our Sega Genesis and Echo the Dolphin. If I can add another fun thing, something that's always fun, especially during the summertime, is something I like to call shoplifting.
Well, how does that work, Sam?
So you go to the nearest vendors. How they have those truck vendors with waffles and hot dogs and things. You and your friends get around one of them, and you just try to lift it. If you can lift it, that's yours. You actually get to keep that legally. That is your shop now.
Wow! And those shops always have Fritos. So that's like unlimited Fritos. Like that would solve world hunger. I can't believe we haven't thought of this before.
Yeah, well, there's a food truck shortage, and so eventually you'll have to move on to bigger things like Best Buy,
like the McDonald's corporate building, the skyscraper.
Oh yeah,
just lifting that one.
The skyscraper that's just a big M.
It's just
man.
It's just the Golden Arches. One of the arches is the St. Louis Arch, and the other arch is just right next to it. And they just painted them gold. And if you can lift those, you become Mr. McDonald, the leader of all McDonald's.
I'm pretty sure that's how they choose the clowns. Mr. Ronald McDonald. That's one of the qualifications, is to be able to lift the entire corporate office. I
wonder, the interview to become the new Ronald McDonald has to be something crazy intense, right? Just like you would have to make sure that there's nothing wrong with this person, because the level of creepiness that inherently a clown gives out to the world cannot be multiplied for a multi-billion-dollar company. in like the weird, strange, normal life of this clown person that they're hiring to do it. So like you can't have ever eaten a popsicle in front of a public pool. Like you have to be completely clean forever.
It's kind of like with Disney movies, or how it used to be. Jason Segel almost didn't get the part in the Muppets because he showed his wang.
He showed
in
his
a movie.
winger, yeah.
And it's kind of like that. It's like
we won't tell you which movie because we don't want you perverts to find it.
Yeah, don't IMDb it. Don't type in Jason Segel wang.
Jason Segel's wang.
It has several film credits actually, and 2 TV credits, surprisingly enough. But I think they sit down with him and they say, if I remember
correctly, it makes an appearance in "Am I a Muppet or a Man?" But who's to say? Sam, moving on to another activity that I enjoy in the summer. It's eating popsicles outside of public pools.
And that's why Ben is no longer allowed in McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
As you all know, we finished Mistborn, the Final Empire.
Yeah.
We were we talked about last time, very satisfied with what we read, how we read it, when we read it.
Satisfied.
Yeah, very satisfied. So, we're going to do a recap of the book, but first we read the journal entries or the annotations before each chapter, which we know as eventually as Alendi's journal, his writings on his way to the Well of Ascension.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. It's not like the other things we've read where there's intimate details and great fights or anything like that. But it was just a logbook filled with various descriptions of people, places, and his feelings as he approached his destiny.
Exactly. Yeah. It's in the book. Initially, we think it's the Lord Rulers because the Lord Ruler has it in his house in Kedrick Shaw, the giant metal sea urchin. But
metal sea urchin.
And so we think that, of course, it's got to be the Lord Ruler wrote this. It's kind of his journal. Cool. Let's get to know more about this giant Madingus that's destroying everything in our lives and has been for 1,000 years. And we learn in the course of the logbook that the Lord Ruler that we know is actually like the servant, the pack servant of Alendi, who's written this logbook. And at the Well of Ascension, as Alendi was about to, become the hero of ages, take over his destiny, he was killed by Rashek, and then Rashek took up the power and became the Lord Ruler. Now, there are some details that are delineated in further books about this that we're not going to get into because I don't want to spoil it directly for readers that haven't read that and are kind of listening sequentially. I'm just going to focus on what we learn about the Lord Ruler's time and his world from the logbook itself, because it is a lot different than the world in regular Mistborn that we've read an entire book about.
Yeah, and it's a 1,000 years difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I think, Rashek, who are you?
Rashek.
Who? Ben,
let's go.
Rashek?
Let's kind of go through. So it's Alendi's journal, Alendi's one writing, going through
Yep.
Alendi's life sequentially. He was born a blacksmith's son. He was going to stay a blacksmith's son, but then as he was growing up, he was met by Quan, who was a Terrace prophet or Terrace priest. Basically, the Terracemen had their religion about the hero of ages that was going to save the world and from imminent destruction. And there's a lot about the prophecies we don't know, but Quan found Alendi and said, he fulfills the prophecy. This is going to be the boy. Takes him to the rest of the Terrace priests, and they say they are also convinced that Alendi is the prophet, or the hero of ages. And so his job is... during this time, he's grown up a lot, he's changed a lot, he actually took over an entire country, Kalenium, so he's a ruler, a king of an entire place, and now he's making this trip to the Well of Ascension where he'll take the power to become the hero of ages. And he's incredibly conflicted on the things that he's had to do in order to obtain the status that he has and to kind of progress the idea and the prophecies that were set before him. So it sounds almost like there are other books that do this, but it sounds almost like he fulfills certain things, or there are certain things that the prophecies say he's supposed to do, and so because they say he's supposed to do them, he does them, like ruling over countries that he's not supposed to be a part of and things like that. So he might have even been pushed because it's almost like the chicken came before the egg. He was trying to chase something instead of the prophecies kind of matching up with the life of one exceptional person.
There's one thing that always stood out to me, excuse me. Let me see if I can find it just so I don't butcher it. He says that he wishes... I wish I could find it. He wishes he didn't have to use fear. I think that's what he said. He says, fear is the tool of a tyrant. Mm-hmm. Oh, bollocks. I should have highlighted it.
Oh, no, that's totally fine. He absolutely says that he wishes that he didn't have to use fear. Fear is a tool of tyrant, but he wouldn't be able to be where he was for the Well of Ascension, to be able to ascend up there, if it wasn't for what he had done already. And so it kind of gives off the sense that he's done dubious things morally in order to get there.
Right. There was another... Oh, man, I'm so sorry. I should have been better prepared for this. I believe he does talk about having to kill someone or needing to kill... No.
He's killed lots of people. He reminds me a bit of Kelsier, if Kelsier was a bit more self-aware, because it seems like he's killed a lot of people just in the battlefield for political reasons to get to where he was. But he feels it. He has doubts. He's worried that he's not supposed to be the hero and that they made some sort of mistake, especially because Quan actually turned on him and said that he wasn't the hero of ages that he thought, even though all the rest of the priests, the Terrace priests, supported his claim, and that's why he continued.
Right, and then you have Rashek, who hates Alendi, and who complains and says that the hero of ages should be a Terraceman, who should be not Alendi, which we find out, what happens is Rashek's hatred for Alendi leads to his murdering of Alendi. Now, Rashek was Quan's nephew? Cousin. No, nephew.
His nephew, and I don't know if it's in this logbook. I read over this, and there's actually in the Will of Ascension or in the Hero of Ages, there are some of Quan's writings make it to some of the characters at that time, while they're trying to look a little bit deeper into those prophecies, and we get to learn a little bit more. But yes, Rashek's uncle was Quan, and so maybe he kind of hated his uncle for calling Alendi the hero of ages when he thought it should have been maybe him or someone else from Terrace, while he was off, obviously not in Terrace, and maybe even looking for the hero of ages. It said Alendi said that he was doing some random studying if trees could think, when he found Alendi himself.
Such an interesting... I don't know if we know more. Oh no, I guess we do have the logbooks in the other books. Are there any, to your knowledge, Ben? I'm still not super... I know we have a podcast all about Brandon Sanderson. I'm not as well versed about Brandon Sanderson's works as I want to be, but I'm working towards it. Are there any, besides Mistborn Secret History, is there any other knowledge or history of like a prequel about the Lord Ruler that we know of?
So there is something that Brandon Sanderson wrote, and I do have the... I think you can find it on his website, Mistborn Prime, or you can request a copy from either him or his assistant, and a lot of times they'll actually just send you these. So there are lots of manuscripts that Brandon's written that he's not going to use because they're either outdated, they don't fit into the universe anymore. He's kind of cannibalized them to make other books much better. That definitely happened in Stormlight Archive, but Mistborn Prime was basically it was Brandon's first pass at making a Mistborn book, and the magic system was much different, and there were different religions and stuff. There was no ash or anything. It was before the Lord Ruler took up the power of the Well of Ascension. I don't even know if the Lord Ruler existed in that period, but there is some information. There's also a video game that was going to be made about that time period as well, but it kind of got stuck in development hell, and it's been canceled since. So it never got made. But there's an entire separate story that was going to be made there, and I think it was going to be either in the time of Alendi and Rashek, or you are going to be Alendi, kind of ascending and learning. Cool. I'm not exactly sure. So there's some information, but it's pretty apocryphal. I tend to stick any knowledge that about the Cosmere and about what's going on there in the canon books, just because everything could change until it's printed into a book. In some cases, it can change minutely after it's been printed into a book, but I see some value in kind of guessing and theorizing, but I don't want to put too much pressure on a book or a storyline that Brandon's never even going to write or put into his stories. You understand? It's
absolutely, yeah.
It's a weird expectation to put on a book that it should be the way that Brandon, intended at the first draft. It's never going to be that way. Things are always going to change, and I think they're better for that.
And especially with theorizing, there is a certain amount of fun, I guess the only word I can think of, when it comes to theorizing, because then you create this backstory for yourself. But a lot of times theories tend to end in disappointment because of, it's not how it is. This is how the writer says it is. I need you to get over it. Yeah. And I think even if we don't have Mistborn Prime in an extended form that he explains, Brandon explains everything and explains minute details such as he has with the metals and with the world how it is now, this logbook is a nice little peek into the person who could have been, not necessarily the Lord Ruler, but who could have been the hero of ages. And with Rashek killing him and taking his place, he did somehow manage to keep the world from being destroyed. We don't know, at least right now, we don't know how he was able to do it, but it did force the world into this darker time, obviously with the Ash Mounds and with the amount of, is it genocide or xenocide?
Genocide.
Genocide, yeah, when he killed all of the, Terracemen to get rid of, or at least stop them from ever being able to continue their race.
Yeah, he purposely tried, he basically put them in a eugenics program to try to breed out the Furukami in them.
Right. So it's a cool little logbook, and I wish that I wish I had highlighted the parts, because there's a couple parts that I was like, I should bring that up. That'd be really good. But there's two of the ones that I wanted to bring the most was one, Alendi did not want to work, as a tyrant. He did not want to be a face of fear. That's not who Alendi was. And at the very end, he says, I have it at the very end because I'm going to scroll down. If I fail, another shall come to finish my work.
Exactly.
And we know that the Lord Ruler, the very last line, the Lord Ruler was not there to finish his work. Of course, there was no intention of Alendi getting himself killed by Rashek, but there has to be something else to right the world, to be able to put it back the way it's supposed to be. And Rashek, the Lord Ruler, was not that person. He was absolutely not the person to make the world how the prophecies meant it to be.
It's something about religion, too. If you believe in a higher power that entrusts you with certain acts or duties, you also have to believe in a higher power that if you fail at that act or that duty, they will fulfill that act or that duty through someone that's more worthy of it. So the end result is, God or the Holy One or the gods will always be able to accomplish what they need to accomplish, but it just may not be you that does it. It's all dependent. Your acts are dependent on yourself, and what's required of you is going to be required of anyone that has to complete that act. But if you're able to rise to the task, then that's when, all of the quote-unquote blessings or the glory exists for you. Otherwise, you could lose it, and, the gods will just find someone else to fill your place. It's kind of like that great cosmic justice that things are going to be resolved eventually, if the gods are trying to work through mortals, but, trying to work through mortals that are fallible is not always, it's not foolproof, in any of those stories. There's always faults, and I think that's hopeful in a way, because you have the ability to sit back and say, all I can do is my best, and if I fail, maybe I just missed something, or maybe it was just wrong for me, but I know that I did my best, and kind of take the pressure off of yourself. I think that Alendi feels a lot of pressure right now because all of his life has been leading up to these moments, and he's worried that, it looks like the mists are coming, the deepness is what Lord Ruler called it. They're kind of killing people or destroying the world, and there's definitely an urgency to it. So obviously he's under a lot of stress, and also one of his friends died, got stabbed by a body made of mist with an invisible knife. So lots of crazy stuff going on in his life.
And I think to go back to what you're saying, I think Alendi had an understanding that he was not the end-all, save-all if something was to go wrong.
Right.
Like, he wasn't like, man, if I don't do this, that's it. Game over.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. I think Rashek absolutely had that. Because, obviously, from the beginning, he did not approve of, nor did he believe in Alendi. And when he saw the opportunity to take it from him, I think he absolutely, from the beginning, saying, shouldn't be him. Should be one of our own. That's what the prophecies say. It should be one of our own. And he I'm sure over time he puts it into his head more and more and more that he is absolutely the one who has to do it. And so he so selfishly takes it upon him to be that person, or to be the hero of ages, even though he was not meant to be.
Yeah. Something that I want to dip into is how different the world of Alendi and Rashek is to the world that the Lord Ruler creates. For example, they mention, Kelsier definitely mentioned that the world was green, had flowers before the Lord Ruler showed up, and everything was turned into like dirt and ash. Alendi talks about Quan like listening to trees, so obviously it seems like there's much more foliage in this time, and he was the son of a blacksmith and was going to become a blacksmith himself. There's freedom as well. It's just it's very standard fantasy, but after reading Mistborn, it seems revolutionary, and liberating that the people could actually live their lives. And we know that their lives were in peril, which is why they even ascended to the Well of Ascension to try to fix everything and save the world. But they had good lives, and it's refreshing to know that does exist in Brandon Sanderson's work. That's kind of, we're in an outlier world right now. We're in an else world, the alternate dimension where everything went bad.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it like that. Obviously, such extreme differences between the two worlds, not only an entire millennium, but countless wars, new systems being instigated, for new systems of power being instigated, but something as simple as the ability to choose one's career path, one's life's work, one's personal destiny. I think that's absolutely something that this is going to sound so dramatic, but that I take for granted, that I took for granted reading this book, is that it is
that
so
there were
easy
choices,
to say,
like that this god didn't have any choices. It was all taken.
Yeah. I think Brandon Sanderson has such I hope this makes sense, has such detail in even the smallest details. You can figure out such large scale and incredible thing, or at least such informative things from a single sentence or a single paragraph that was given to us through a logbook that, Vin found.
Exactly.
Found.
One last thing that I wanted to touch on, and then I'll let you finish if there's anything else you want to talk about the logbook before we wrap up here. The shard pool. So shard pools are it's something that we learn in further books called perpendicularities. So each world that Brandon Sanderson makes, there's a physical realm, there's a cognitive realm, and there's a spiritual realm. And where certain pieces of power coalesce, that makes perpendicularities. And so there's a metallic pool that matches very closely something that we see in Elantris, something we see in the next book. The Well of Ascension is a type of this pool. But obviously there is that pool, and then there was the Well of Ascension. They're separate things. So I just wanted to make mention of it. It was had a metallic sheen, but they didn't get any water or anything from it because they were stabbed by a mist spirit. So it wasn't the
hate
time.
When that happens.
You know what? I hate it when I'm going down to my metallic pool that just looks like the unicorn blood in Harry Potter 1, the movie, and I just get stabbed by that mist spirit with his invisible knife. It's so hard to see a knife that's invisible. You wouldn't believe it, Sam.
You know what? I would believe it, but only because my cousin was stabbed by an invisible knife.
I mean, I was stabbed by an invisible knife. That's why I have a belly button. That's what my mom told me.
Well, you know what? Tell her next time when she's holding a baby not to get so close to that shiny pool. We all know what happens. Dementors, stabbing, the Hollow Man starring Kevin Bacon. Yeah, we all know what happens.
It was Hollow Man starring Kevin Bacon my entire childhood. I'm glad you brought that up, Sam. Anything else about the logbook that you want to talk about, Sam?
I think Alendi was super chill. Yeah. And I think he was a really good guy.
He was a ruler you could just have a beer with,
Have a beer with, far away from any shiny pools. But he really was. I think he really was. And who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong. Brandon Sanderson might listen to this and he'd go, "You're an idiot. He was a jerk and no one liked him." But I think he was a good guy, and I think he would have done really good things, or at least he would have tried so hard to do really good things. Much better than Rashek did.
I agree.
I think reading it as a whole made me appreciate it a lot more than in parts. I'm really glad that we were able to do this. This is cool.
Yeah, I think that Alendi was fearful of power. I feel like because he knew what it was like to be powerless, just like as a kid, and where he came from. So I think he was fearful that would change him, and I think because of those reasons, he absolutely would have been a better ruler than the Lord Ruler that we got than Rashek. But we got who we got, and there may be reasons behind it, but we'll have to keep reading to find out.
Ooh.
Yeah?
No, I was saying, we have to read more.
Oh, yeah.
Exciting.
Well, Sam, one last thing I want to do before we end the episode is I want to make some magic.
Hey, I was trying out some themes. I was going to write some themes for each of our little sketches, or excuse me, our little games. What do you think about this? Making magic. Is that good?
That was good. Am I just supposed to take your recording of you making your mouth sounds with that and put it at the beginning of each Making Magic second?
No. I'll GarageBand it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But just to let you know, it's going to be the exact same thing you just heard, but through GarageBand.
So at the beginning, it's like, GarageBand presents, Making Magic.
It's going to have that Apple logo on it, too. We're going to make a lot of money. Or get sued. We'll figure it out.
Well, Making Magic is a game that we play. We take a random noun generator. We generate a noun at random. We have not seen it before.
Correct.
And we try to build a magic system around it. Because, Brandon Sanderson's a busy guy. Sometimes he needs to make a magic system, but doesn't have time to work out all the kinks. We're going to work them out right now. And then, Brandon, you can use this in any future book that you need to, okay?
Yep, just pay your respects. Or send us a big, fat McRib.
Just send us a McRib and we'll be fine with it. McRib magic, Sam. Maybe that's going to be it. Let's see.
Is it?
It's not. The magic system this week is bow tie magic.
Oh no.
Bow tie magic, Sam.
Oh no.
So how does bow tie magic work? Let me start off.
Okay. Yeah, you start off. That's good.
Bow ties.
Okay.
Not only for your neck. Huh?
Okay. I can... all right, go on. I'm listening. You have my attention.
So I feel... I'm thinking like a Tibetan monastery or like a ninja school where young men and women are being trained in the art of tying a bow tie. And it's not simple. It takes years in order to tie a good bow tie, as anyone that wears a bow tie can tell you. I've seen it done, and it's half alchemy, half faith. They actually have to appease a god in order to get it to stay on there. and it becomes exponentially worse because, the bow tie around your throat, that's the source of your, the core of your power. But if you want to have additional focuses, you need to put one on your arm, on your wrist, on your fingers, and those are much harder to even tie. And the thing is, the bow tie, in order for, let's say, so bow ties are big fan things. Let's say they're absorbing energy from the light of the sun or the light of the moon. Okay?
I love this,
so
which is
they
technically
have to be
the light
exposed.
of the sun.
Exactly, it's technically the light of the sun reflected off of a big old rock up in space. So if the light's not out, no power. Also, if you're trying to hide your bow ties, like keep them low key, no power. So they need to be out in the open. Mm-hmm. So that's like an interesting restriction. It's going to be very hard to secretly have bow tie magic.
Now, could we have, much like Furukami, can you have numerous bow ties in which you can store sunlight? Kind of like solar cells. Could somebody spend an entire day just covered in bow ties and then put them all in his closet, and then he just takes them out whenever he needs them? Maybe a rainy day, maybe when there's no moon outside, or it's really cloudy, but he really needs his bow ties. Can he store his sunlight in them?
I'm gonna say that. So other ties exist in this world, and one of them is the bolo tie. Now, bolo tie is only good for one thing. If you leave it out in the sun, it will absorb the sun's energy, and then you can press it, and it will shine with sunlight. So you can use it as a flashlight if you want, but you can also use it just to power up. But the thing is, you're still showing this light on this bit of you that has to be exposed in order to receive it. And that's all bolo ties are good for. No one likes them. Well, Sam,
okay.
I think you misspoke a little bit. Instead of bow tie, you said bro tie. And I really want to explore that. What would a bro tie be like?
So a bro tie is specifically a regular necktie.
Yes.
But extremely loosened.
Oh,
and
right.
and kind of it's a little off center.
And that knot around the neck part, it's real fat. It's real fat knot. It's just gotta be real big.
I was gonna say, I think it could be real fat, or it could just be like way too tight, and so it's super small, and it's gonna take you a while to untie that thing. It might even just be stuck in a knot.
We're kidding ourselves if we're saying we're ever untying that. That's just coming off the neck and going right onto the hanger.
That is absolutely right.
Until the next time you need it.
The hanger, come on, Ben. You mean the floor of the closet? It's just going right down there. Get all wrinkled.
That's the only thing the bro tie is good for. I think the bro tie is like that's your. I'm gonna say that the bro tie keeps you up. The bro tie has all the same powers as a Monster Energy drink, is what I'm trying to say. It keeps you up. It makes you feel a little wired and be a little more aggro than normal.
Now here's the big question.
Yeah.
What does bow tie magic do specifically? We know we gotta have faith. It's all about tying. You can put it on different centers. You can have one on your forehead. But like what does the magic do, Ben? Yeah,
so I'm out and I'm doing a job. And I have my bow ties. I've got my bow tie around my neck. That's providing a force field around me, so I can't get hurt, at least not immediately by anything.
Okay.
I have a bow tie. Let's say I have a bow tie around my back and waist, like a big kimono bow, you know, and
Okay.
that is making me more sneaky. Like, let's say it's like making my countenance like 80% darker, so you could still see me, but like light reflects less from me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're very an unnoticed tertiary character in the background listening to a conversation.
Kind of. I would say if you looked at me like if I was in a regular room and I had that activated and going, then you would be able to tell, because just like light wouldn't reflect off me normally, but it makes me super sneaky. Like if I'm sneaking through shadows, like you're never going to be able to find me, just because like I'm going to blend in way too well. I'm going to say bow ties around my wrists. Those basically like tendrils, like tentacles. You can just kind of like flap around, and you can grab things, and you can pull yourself up.
Okay, I was thinking bow ties around your calves. They enhance your calf muscles, so you can jump up to 6 feet higher than normal.
There you go. And you, I'm going to say you move smoother and faster while you have them activated. But again, these all have to be you have to have like a bolo that's like recently charged them, because the sunlight will wear off of them within like 30 minutes, I would say.
Okay, so if
you're doing this stuff at night, then like you got to be on top of it. You got to have those bolo ties stored up, and like I'm going to say the currency is actually bolo ties. They're just like these little coins almost. Like, how many bolos will you give me for this apple, bro? And people just leave them out, and they charge up, and then you can use them for their different bow tie magics at night.
And I think everyone's pretty what's the word I'm looking for? They're super
Dapper.
They're super not into the bolo tie currency. Nobody likes it.
Oh no, no one likes it.
They're kind of like the pennies of currency. You know, it's just like, why do we even have these? But they can't get rid of them because that's their only currency. But they hate it, and so they try to do a lot of
Let's be
trades.
real, Sam. They're the Bitcoin of currency. If anyone's like, I'm going to pay you in Bitcoin, you're like, fine, but whatever.
What's that other one?
They'd rather just make normal trade.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so bow tie magic's pretty cool. I gotta say, I think a lot of people will wear bow ties. Ironically, you know, they don't even have. They're not centered with their bow ties.
Isn't it so funny that I'm wearing this thing that no one wears? Haha. Like, no, my grandpa wears that because he literally can't tie a regular tie, so he just wears clip-on bow ties. And you're making fun of his memory. He's dead because of you. That's what I say.
And then you fight them with bow tie magic.
With bow tie magic.
Ben, do you think
I wrap them all up?
Do you think patterns or fabrics affect it at all?
Yeah, I think the patterns and fabrics it definitely affect the durability and maybe the amount that you can store, but also each different type of magic, like the one that enhances your cast, that has to be a certain material. So like, let's say it's like canvas bow ties on your calves, but it's like silk bow tie on your back that's making you like more sneaky and darker of countenance. And then they're like, I don't know, like a satin for your grabby bow ties.
And then for the bow tie you wrap around your head so you can read people's thoughts is definitely cashmere.
A cashmere bow tie, exactly.
A cashmere bow tie.
You know, the number one bow tie making material, cashmere.
Well, in this world, that'll cost you at least 4 bolos. Nobody wants to spend that. Just kidding. Everyone can spend that. Bolos are useless. Unless you need them for sun storing.
Exactly.
This is a really good magic system. I like it.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, you're going to like a fancy dinner and all the guys are wearing like tuxedos with these black bow ties, and that black bow tie, that's a force field protecting them from any assassination attempts. But like, you know, everyone knows it. It's kind of like a mutually assured destruction sort of thing. I kind of like a magic system that everyone can invest in and get into, rather than kind of like a select few being able to do something and the rest are just kind of boned, you know?
Like Mistborns. Nah,
Mistborn's kind of bone everyone.
Brandon Sanderson, don't sue us. I'm just joking.
No, it's fine. It's just every author's different, and I think it's so that the world literally isn't destroyed by people that just get armies magic. Of people that bow tie magic. Exactly.
Oh man. Hey, Brandon Sanderson. If you like bow tie magic, shoot us an email or text us. You have our numbers. We send them to you almost on the weekly.
We send them to you in our Christmas card. So if you have that Christmas card,
it was a really early Christmas card. Just we really need you to appreciate it.
Well, thank you everyone for listening to Brandon Sanderfans with Ben and Sam. I've had a great time this week. Sorry if it's a shorter episode. We didn't have a ton of material. Next week we're going to talk about the entirety of our thoughts on Mistborn: The Final Empire, and kind of finish that off. And then the week after we're going to have like a clip bit show of all our favorite parts from this first read through, and then we'll be moving on to the next book.
And if you guys, since we're going to be talking about the book in its entirety and thoughts, feelings, or ending thoughts, maybe arguments, who knows? If you guys have any questions that you want us to discuss, go ahead and tweet at us. We're at BSanderfans on Twitter. We also have a Facebook page. You can leave questions on our wall. You can also just tweet at us. I'm at Samuel_Loose on Twitter. Ben, where can they find you on Twitter?
I'm at Ben Parrish, BENNPARRISH, and we're at BSanderfans on Twitter as well.
Yeah, so leave us a question, or if you guys want to add any thoughts or commentaries, please do. It's always fun to get people involved, and I know we have a small listening audience, but I mean, it don't matter. Send us as many questions or as thoughts as you want. We'll siphon out the bad ones, if there are any, but I believe in you guys. Oh, I believe in you so good.
Absolutely. I believe in you guys too. Well, thank you so much for listening, and for Brandon Sanderfans, read a book.
Read a book.